Hi dear ones, welcome back to my channel Priya Moments. In this video I am going to give you an explanation for the poem named Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Robert Frost is an American poet, well known for his poems in colloquial style. His poems begin in delight and end in wisdom. Stopping by woods on a snowy evening and a road not taken are two among his famous poems. Now let's go through his poem Mending Wall. Walls. Do you think it's a necessary thing? If not, why do we have walls in our house to separate different rooms? Why do we build walls around the compound of our house? Yes, maybe for privacy. And I think walls gives us support. I would like to lean on walls when I am tired. Many reasons are there for building walls. Apart from the literal meaning, the word wall means some barriers that we build inside our mind to keep away others or something that disturbs us. Or for harmonious living, we need to build a wall around us. Is that so? Maybe it's good to have walls to maintain good relationship with others. Mending wall. Mending means repairing. So, shall we go through the line by line meanings of the poem Mending Wall? The poem begins thus: something there is that doesn't love a wall. See, something there is. The poem starts with an observation that there's something in the nature that doesn't like wall. In the poem Mending Wall, nature acts as a third character. He says maybe nature doesn't love a wall. Here, that is, nature is here as the third character. Who are the other characters here? Poet himself, who is the speaker of the poem, and his neighbor. So, the third character here is the nature. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends a frozen ground swells under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The term wall here presents an example of metaphor to explain both kind of barrier, mental and physical. So, the word something is used here instead of someone. He marks a stand that those are not humans but things which are keeping him from building the wall. That sends the frozen ground swells under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun. The line presents a powerful image of something which causes the cold ground under the wall to swell and burst. The ground burst in a way that the boulders means the stones, the huge stones, come splitting out from within to outside. It merely explains the view of the speaker that something wanted to keep the wall from being constructed, so it crumbles from the natural action. So nature doesn't want the wall and so it breaks. This is a beautiful use of personification, of the unseen force of nature. Here nature is personified. The nature breaks the wall because it does not like it to stay there and makes gaps even two can pass abreast, and thus gaps. The speaker is telling about the walls, crumpling of the wall due to the natural activity It makes gaps where these two neighbors can pass through easily. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone. Speaker points out that the work of the hunters is another obstacle to the wall between the two neighbors. They cause damage to the wall during the sport and don't make repair to those damages to the stones. The speaker has to make regular repairs as he points it in I have come after them. The speaker is coming after the hunters to repair the wall or repair the stone or to keep the stone on the place where it was. It may be because the wall restricts the otherwise wider spread of the hunting ground. But, next line, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. Speaker now is pointing out the troubles the hunters cause. They don't even hesitate to tear down the walls to find the rabbits from its hiding, to please their barking, yelping dogs, barking, crying dogs. They are just removing the stones from the walls to find out the rabbits from their hidings and help their dogs to find them out. The gaps, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. Despite various contributing causes for the wall being torn down, the fact remains that nobody knows or hears about how or when the gaps are formed, even by the nature or by the hunters. However, the walls are often collapsed. But the speaker certainly discovers the gaps at the spring mending time. Every springtime, the speaker comes there and repairs the wall, and every springtime, whenever he comes there, he finds that the wall is collapsed here and there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go. Here, always the speaker and his neighbor is selecting the springtime as suitable time for mending the wall, because springtime is the suitable time, because during the winter it's very cold and they can't come out and do this repairing things, and so they are selecting the springtime, which is very suitable and good climate for it. And every springtime, the speaker would let his neighbor know about the wall and they start the repairing. Speaker finally mentions his neighborhood. He says he lets his neighbor across the dividing line know about the damages so they can repair them together. One day they meet to go with the whole mending business. That particular day, they spent for mending business, as they do it every year. Every year, this is a routine. Every spring, speaker and his neighbor, they would spend a whole day for mending the wall. The narrator classifies that they keep the wall in between when they do the mending job. See? They keep their wall between. Here, what is the wall that he is mentioning? Maybe the wall or barrier that is in between the speaker and the neighbor, that is a barrier in their minds. To each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are loaves and some so nearly balls, we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. The speaker and his neighbor notice the boulders which have fallen in either side. They find that some of these boulders look like loaves of bread in rectangular piece or in square piece, but some are round as balls, the shape of the boulders. They are different. Some are just looking like loaves of bread, and some are just round as balls. They anticipate the difficulty in putting them to use and believe that it would need a spell to balance them, as boulders are of different shapes. It is very difficult for them to keep them up one upon the other, and they believe that they need some spell to balance them together so that the boulders stand on one another. It seems no matter what they do, the boulders fail to stick and fall down. So, out of despair, the neighbors yell at the stones to stay put until they turn their back. Until they turn their back. Just be there until we turn our back. They want to confirm that the walls stand intact, at least in their presence. This is to indicate how difficult it was to mend the wall on a regular basis. It's very difficult because it's of different shapes, and it's very difficult to keep them intact there. And so they are just telling they should always utter a magic spell to the boulders to let them be there. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. That is the magic spell they often utter while they are keeping the boulders up on another. Poet employs metaphor here with loaves and balls to mark the comparison to boulders. Further, he personifies a stone so they could be yelled at. Okay, so stones are personified here, and the metaphors are there, loaves and balls. The use of poetical device parallelism in the line, to each the boulders that have fallen to each, where to each, emphasize the fact that the speaker and his neighbor are indeed on the opposite sides of the wall. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game on a side. Outdoor game, that is shuttle, badminton, etc., where we stand one on each side of the net. The fingers of the neighbors are rough and callous with the handling of the boulders over and over again and again. They find the task just like another outdoor game with the wall line in between the two opponents playing from across the line. It comes to, so that means here the author or the speaker feels that they are as if the mending the wall is as if they are playing some outdoor game with the one on either side of the wall. Next lines. It comes to little more there where it is we do not need the wall. He is alpine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the corns under his spines, I tell him. This is the first time in the poem Mending Wall that the poet brings out the difference in opinion the speaker has with his neighbor to the fore. The speaker says, as opposed to his neighbor, the presence of the wall is plainly unnecessary. There is no need of any wall in between. He is totally skeptical of the wall, especially when there is no movable property. There is nothing to worry about. So there's no need of a wall in between. Under threat of moving, there's no threat of some movable property here and there. He mentions that they have two different kinds of plantations. The speaker also maintains that his apple trees, he is having apple trees, apple orchard, and the other one is having pine trees. So what's the need of a wall in between? His apple trees won't ever cross to his neighbor's yard to cause damage to his pine trees. Similarly, his pines are not going to come and disturb his apples. Hence, putting up a wall is a futile exercise. There's no need of any walls in between. He also says, good fences make good neighbors. But what is the reply of the neighbor? He says, good fences make good neighbors. Not that line, it's very, very important. Good fences make good neighbors. The neighbor does not pay heed to the arguments that the speaker puts. He only maintains good fences make good neighbors. The phrase good fences makes good neighbors has been around for centuries in different words and formations. But it was first framed by Robert Frost, and it's very as if a proverb. It's used now and then. So he means that if there is good wall in between, it makes good neighbors. That means there will be good relationship. The relationship will be the best if they are having good fences in between. That means even if we are making relationship with others, there should be a limitation for that relationship. Then it will be a healthy relation. Otherwise, it will cause damage to both. That is the meaning of that line. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. When spring arrives, a speaker becomes a bit mischievous in his attempts to convince his neighbor to rethink the decision of putting up a wall and mending it when the gaps are visible. In the coming lines, the speaker tries to convince his neighbor the other way, the nearly accuses him of being a believer of old traditions. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows, but here there are no cows? Continuing with the same thing, the narrator asks why the walls can make good neighbors. Why? For what? He seeks his neighbor's reasons for putting up the wall, a purpose. He argues that walls are needed when there are cows that are needed to be kept from the neighbor's compound. But here there are no cows, then there's no need of any wall in between. If there are cows, there is a chance for the cows to get in the compound and cause some destruction or cause some damage to the crops of the others. But here there are no cows, then there's no need of any walls in between. That is the opinion of the speaker. But his neighbor continuously says good fences make good neighbors. The speaker continues to argue his stand and say every time he builds the wall. Next lines. Before I built a wall, I would ask to know what it was, what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Speaker continues to argue his stand and says every time he builds the wall, he would ask to know what was he walling in and what was he walling out. What is he walling in and walling out? He always asks what was being separated and what was being brought together with the wall that they are constructing. He also asked whether this wall would offend anyone. It's offend anyone, or is this causing any damage to anyone? Poet uses an alliteration in it. What I was walling in or walling out. Alliteration is used here to express the speaker's mind. Moreover, there seems to be a clever use of pun through offense, which sounds like a fence. Pun is also there, P-U-N, pun. Offense which sounds like a fence. Just you read that line, then you could feel the pun used there. Now the next lines. Something there is that doesn't love a wall that wants it down. Poet yet again points out that there's something that doesn't love a wall and wants it to go down. It invokes a sense of mystery in the mind of the reader about this something. Something is there. Endo onnundu. A sense of mystery is there in those lines. Something is there. I could say else to him, but it's not else exactly, and I would rather he said it for himself. The speaker is desperate to find ways to convince his neighbor otherwise. He says that he could point towards else as a reason for bringing down the wall. There are some else trying to break down the walls, but he knows it's not really the else. So he suggests that The neighbor should come up with a reason for the same on his own. Here, the poet makes an allusion to elves. The elves are tiny, mythical, supernatural beings from folklore. So, here there's an allusion to that. Some elves are trying to break this wall. Next lines. I see him there bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand like an old stone savage armed. Despite all his efforts and hopes and dreams of turning the neighbor around, the speaker sees that the neighbor is bringing stones grasped firmly by the top in each of his hands. And that look of the neighbor at that time is just like an armed old stone savage, totally unaffected by the speaker's intention or speaker's opinion. The neighbor looked like an armed old stone savage. With the use of the word like, the poet uses what figure of speech? Yes, of course, it's simile. To compare the appearance of the neighbor with an armed old stone savage. This is also symbolic in suggesting that the neighbor's thoughts and ideas were also that the same. Old means that stone age. Looks like the people of stone age. Bringing these things during the stone age time, the people used stones as the weapons. He moves in darkness as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of the trees. Speaker now firmly believes that the neighbor is living in darkness. Not just a darkness due to woods and tree shades. Speaker feels the neighbor is under the tight grip of darkness of ignorance. Darkness of ignorance is in his mind, and that's why he is always trying to build a barrier or a wall in between him and poet. And that's why the speaker here is firmly thinking that the neighbor is living in darkness. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors. Speaker says that his neighbor is unwilling to compromise his hereditary wealth to anyone. He is unwilling to go beyond something his father used to say. He probably likes how well he can remember it. The neighbor stands firm on his opinion and utters again and again the same thing, that good fences make good neighbors. So that's the line by line meanings of the poem. So in the Mending Wall, the poet Robert Frost takes an ordinary setting of two neighbors and their effort to mend the wall. The walls, the dispute, the different philosophies of the two neighbors, all these hold more significance. Through the fence, the poet tries to show how we create barriers to isolate ourselves from the outer world. Fence, good fence, make good neighbors. The fence that we build in our mind to isolate ourselves from the outer world. And the dispute in between these neighbors is the frequent clash of tradition and modernity, where youth is trying to tear down the ideals of the tradition and the old, the new tradition and old, the tradition and the modern, old tradition and modern. The dispute between the old and new is also mentioned. That is also the inner meaning of this poem. And something presents a theory that nature does not like a wall between the people. Nature does not like the wall between the people is also pointed out here. So the narrator attacks the neighbor using the word savage, as he wants to shy away from others around him. And if you read the poem very carefully, you could find many and many inner meanings going or running through the poem on each lines. Okay, think about it. read many times. It's very important poem for your examination, and also this poem is very essential to keep always in your mind for your coming life also. Very useful. Okay. Thank you very much for watching the video. Keep waiting for the more videos to come. Thank you. I am Preetha Nair from GHSS Vettathur, Malappuram.